Joining us to talk about today's verdict and the investigation that continues is Congressman Adam Schiff. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us. Seditious conspiracy, this dates back to the Civil War era, basically prosecuting people for making war, levying war against the United States is the basis of it. It is rarely prosecuted, even rarely, much more rarely, a conviction. What do you make of the fact that two people were convicted of it today?
Well, it's a huge victory for the Justice Department, and I think a big victory for the American people. The elements of that crime are enormously serious. It involves the use of force to overthrow the government or interfere with the lawful functions of the government. So it's not often used as a charge, and I think it will have big impacts, not only in validating the Justice Department's prosecutions, but also there's another trial coming up of a different white nationalist group, right-wing group, and that's the Proud Boys. So those Proud Boy defendants facing trial now, seeing the conviction of these Oath Keepers, it may get some of them to plead guilty and cooperate with the government. So a big victory for the Justice Department in this case, and it may lead to other victories as well.
What sort of penalty does this statute carry?
Well, they could face years in prison for this, and this will be really the first conviction, I think, of someone who went to trial under these charges. And that, too, will have a big precedential impact on subsequent cases. But, depending on what the judge decides and, with the multiple convictions, because there were other statutes, they were also convicted of violating the interference with lawful proceedings. Some were convicted of other charges involving the physical assault on the facilities. So depending on whether they're consecutive sentences or cumulative or concurrent, that is, they could be facing a lot of time.
And based on your work with the January 6th committee, Congressman, and what you have learned through the sworn testimony that you have been listening to and detailing, what indications are there that there are other people higher, perhaps within the former Trump administration, or perhaps the former president himself, what sort of legal jeopardy they might be facing based on what you've learned?
Well, then they could face very serious jeopardy. There's a statute, for example, that makes a crime to commit insurrection, and not only that, but to give aid and comfort to others who do. And so, certainly, I think there are any number of higher ups that are potentially criminally exposed under that statute. But, as, federal judge David Carter in California already found, looking at a narrow set of the evidence, the former president himself, there's evidence that he violated the law by conspiring to interfere with the joint session of Congress. So there's a lot of exposure going right up to the former president.
All right, Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to talking to you further as things develop. Thanks again.